Well, hello and welcome to the 2022 Recognition of the Graduates event here in the beautiful Reynolds Coliseum on the lovely campus of the phenomenal North Carolina State University. How's that for an opening statement, huh? Well, on behalf of Dean Louis Martin Vega and the faculty and staff in the College of Engineering, I relay to all gathered here a very hearty Wolfpack Engineering welcome, and thank you for your presence here today. My name is Jerome Lavelle, and I'm the Associate Dean of Academic Affairs in our college, and I must say, in looking around, that this is beyond the shadow of a doubt the most attractive group of people ever gathered on this campus. Now I say that to let you know that's true at least until next year when I tell that group they're the most attractive that I've ever seen. But in all seriousness, I sincerely welcome you all and congratulate all of our inductees today and those who are graduating in the next couple of days. You've all worked very hard to get where you are and achieve the things that you've achieved. And today's ceremony is about recognizing the power and the opportunity that your engineering and computer science degrees releases in your life and the responsibilities that you undertake in holding these degrees. This ceremony represents a public expression on your part to conduct yourself personally and professionally in a manner that brings honor to you and honor to our profession. I thank you and I congratulate you for making this public statement and invite all gathered here today to give you a round of applause in support of that decision. A round of applause for our graduates. Before we get to the ceremonies, you'll have the opportunity today to hear from the Dean of our college, Dr. Louis Martin Vega. Dr. Martin Vega, would you please stand to be recognized? Let's give Dr. Martin Vega a round of applause. You will hear from our guest speaker, very special guys, our guest speaker, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry, who I know will inspire you with his messages. Dr. Mabry, could you stand to be recognized, please? In addition, participating in the induction ceremony today are Dr. Sarah Heckman, teaching professor and director of undergraduate programs in the Department of Computer Science, and Dr. David Parrish, assistant dean in the Office of Academic Affairs. Sarah and David, could you please stand and be recognized? I'm also delighted to share that we have faculty representatives from each of our programs here today. Faculty, if you could stand as I call your name, and students, if you want to cheer for your program, you may do so, and you can use your outside voice if you'd like to. From Biological Engineering, Professor and Undergraduate Coordinator, Dr. Andy Hale. From Biomedical and Health Sciences Engineering Joint Program, NC State and UNC Chapel Hill, Associate Teaching Professor and Associate Director of Undergraduate Studies, Dr. Naji Husseini. All right, I think the gauntlet has been thrown down. From Chemical Engineering, Teaching Professor and Director of Undergraduate Studies, Dr. Lisa Bullard. From Civil, Construction, and Environmental Engineering, Assistant Professor and Coordinator of Undergraduate Advising, Dr. Tarek Aziz. I mentioned Dr. Heckman, but she's here also representing Computer Science, so Teaching Professor and Director of Undergraduate Programs, Dr. Sarah Heckman. Electrical and Computer Engineering Professor and Associate Department Head, Dr. Greg Bird. Our Fitz Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, Director of Undergraduate Programs and Associate Teaching Professor, Dr. Canton Reynolds. From Material Science and Engineering, Professor and Associate Department Head, Dr. Frankie So. That was loud because that's a small department, so they did a great job. From Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, MAE, Professor and Director of Undergraduate Programs, Dr. Tarek Ishiki. From Nuclear Engineering, Professor and Director of Undergraduate Programs, Dr. Jacob Ipan, and Associate Director of Undergraduate Programs, Ms. Lisa Marshall. From Paper Science Engineering, Teaching Professor and Undergraduate Coordinator, Dr. Med Bird. And from Textile Engineering, Professor and Department Head, Dr. Jeff Joins. Once again, let's please recognize all of our fantastic faculty. Give them all a big round of applause. I would also like to thank and recognize the staff of the College of Engineering, Office of Academic Affairs, who will be assisting in the ceremony today. We have Dr. Kim Roberts, Director of Enrollment Management Educational Partnerships for the college, and Dr. Javon Adams, Coordinator of Transfer Students, who will be reading the initiate's name today. Could you please stand to be recognized? We have a bunch of volunteers in the back who have their masks on. I think I'm going to try to do the best I can. Dr. Laura Bottomley, I think Mary Claire Robbins may be back there. Haley Queen is there. Angelita Daniels, Miss Veronica is there. Anyone I missed, let's give all of our volunteers a round of applause. Miss Kat Bird and Mr. Jake Inklin are the folks, our support staff, that make things like this happen. They worked very hard. Let's give them a round of applause. And then we have a whole team of engineering ambassadors, our marshals and others who are gathered here. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you, guys. And then lastly, I would like to thank and recognize all of our guests, all of our friends and supporters who are here with us today. Your presence makes this a special event. In many cases, you were there supporting and encouraging our initiates as they traveled their journey toward what we know is a precious and not so easy to attain commodity, and that is a degree in engineering or computer science at NC State. And I think Dean Louie will verify this. We just don't pass these degrees out on the street corner. These degrees represent a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance, a lot of personal determination and grit. And so I ask all families, guests, and other supporters of our initiatives, if you are able, could all of you please stand? And I want our faculty and our initiates to give all of you all a big round of applause for your support and being here today. If you could stand, please stand. You may stand. One final comment before we begin. Astute observers in the audience may have noted that we have some initiates wearing a different, and I'll say non-red colored gown. And I'd like to assure you, fear not. We are not being evaded by some uninvited interlopers as part of some Greek life prank from Chapel Hill. Rather, those are our great joint NC State-UNC biomedical engineering program students who happen to be based on the UNC campus. And I want to recognize all of you and sincerely thank you for being part of this ceremony today. Your diploma, as well as our NC State Biomed students' diploma, lists both UNC and Chapel Hill. So we know that under those blue linens, you are a Wolfpack at heart. And we want to thank you for being here today. At this point, I would like to invite the Dean of our college, Dean Louis Martin Vega, to come forward and provide a few words and introduce our speaker. So, Dean Martin Vega, Please come to the podium. Dean Martin Vega.
In all of these introductions, there was one that was missing. Dr. Jerome Lavelle, our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and his team, they're the ones that have put this whole activity together. Please, a round of applause for our leader here. And I think, Jerome, some of our students might have picked up that it wasn't just both UNC and Chapel Hill on the diploma, but NC State and UNC on the diploma, right? Okay, we've got that fixed. So good afternoon, everybody. We're just delighted to have you here. We're delighted to be back and doing this. Again, this is probably the first time we've done this in 3 years. It's a tradition that was created a number of years ago. We don't have a College of Engineering graduation per se, as you know. Every one of your departments has their commencement exercises, and we hope that you're going to be there because it's very personal with your commencement speakers. There's also the university commencement on Saturday morning, and I hope to see many, many of you there as well. But this is our way in the college, not only of recognizing you college-wide, but also sharing with you something that we feel is very special, because this recognition has a lot to do with essentially everything that underlies what we hope you're going to carry forward. The technical background that you've received here, your background, your preparation, is very strong and very rigorous, but we hope that with that, you go forward with a moral commitment, with compassion, with empathy, understanding that what underlies what we do in engineering are those things that are very critical to addressing the challenges that we have at societal levels, whether they be issues of sustainability or health or security or many other things. You're the ones that are going to move these ideas forward. So thank you for what you're doing, and this is our way of saying we want you to go forward, understanding that that really is truly our mission. So thank you for participating in this recognition of the graduates event. Today is all about you and celebrating what you've accomplished. Earning an engineering degree is no small feat. This is always going to be a very rigorous discipline, and I hope that you all feel a real sense of accomplishment today. As you prepare to take the obligation of the Order of the Engineer or the oath of the computer scientist this afternoon, I hope that you'll take a moment to reflect on all the long hours you've put in over these years and all the hard work that's come to make this happen. And especially the fact that you have also done this through probably the most challenging times of any generation. You know, I not only salute you for what you've accomplished, I admire you for your persistence, your resilience, and everything that you've shown. And I know we're going to have other moments for a round of applause, but I'd like to ask a round of applause for that right now. Your degree in engineering or computer science is really a platform. It's a platform that we hope propels you to do amazing things. There's nothing in what's happened in your education that restricts your life's options. If anything, it expands them significantly. People move into all careers and all areas with engineering degrees. And I have to tell you quite honestly, it's a lot easier to move from an engineering degree to other areas than it is to try to come in and do this later. You have that platform, you should be proud of that. Whether you're headed to graduate school, entering the workforce, or starting up your own companies or doing other things, I know that you should feel, and I hope you feel, well equipped to solve problems, handle new situations, work in teams, do the things that need to be done to address the challenges and opportunities that you're going to have. After you graduate, you're going to find fellow graduates, alumni working in engineering and computer science fields, contributing significantly, whether it be to research. Many of you have been involved in that already as undergrads, inventing new products, ensuring our daily lives are running safely and efficiently. You're also going to find your graduates and alumni working as physicians, as attorneys, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, or leaders of nonprofit organizations that are really driven by societal needs and impacts. The bottom line is, it is a platform. You can go from here and do anything you want to do with this degree. Now, you chose to study engineering or computer science because you probably felt that you had aptitudes along those lines, but I think really what underlies it is that you're motivated, and we know you are because you share that with us, your desire to really do those things that need to happen to change this world. We hope that today you'll feel that you're just a little step closer to doing that, because that's what we want you to go forward to. So today we have a very special treat for you. Our speaker, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry, who's going to join us. He's here, and he's going to share a bit of his journey with you and some very important thoughts. It's not a traditional journey. You're going to see what he does. But as he speaks, remember that he was in your shoes just a few short years ago, ready to graduate and move forward with his career. And like him, you can aspire to do anything that you would like to do. So Dr. Nehemiah James Mabry, professional engineer, is a structural engineer, STEM educator, and an entrepreneur based in Raleigh, North Carolina. He has over 8 years of experience in NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, also working as a bridge design engineer with Simpson Engineers and Associates. But while he was a PhD student here at NC State in civil engineering, he founded STEM Media Incorporated in 2012. STEM Media is a media company that provides inspirational and educational creative content for science, technology, engineering, and math, that community. Since its inception, Dr. Mabry has won national awards, engaged thousands through public speaking and lectures, partnered with many organizations, businesses, and academic institutions in STEM outreach. He is also motivated thousands of young individuals to consider coming into the fields of engineering and someday emulating perhaps what he has done and many of the things that you're going to do. So it is a real honor and privilege to have him back with us today. Please join me in giving a hearty Wolfpack welcome to Dr. Nehemiah Mabry.
Hello to my fellow Wolfpack engineers. All right. How you feeling? All right, it is with incredible honor and humility that I stand before you today. As the Dean shared, it was just a few short years ago that I was sitting where you are. And I wanted to just offer my appreciation really quickly to not only the Dean, Dr. Jerome Lavelle, Dr. Paris, Dr. Hetman, and everyone that had something to do with inviting me and bringing me to this program. But now as I turn to the class of 2022, can you make some noise for yourselves? Look, you made it. We are here. We are here. This is a high occasion. This is a moment you will never forget. This is something worth putting on your stories so that they can be reminded of it every year. You know how Facebook and Instagram does. You need this documented because this represents, as I share with others, an unprecedented time, not only in your lives, but in the history of this country. For you have done so much to study, to stay up, to collaborate, to take, to retake, come on somebody, to make sure that you had everything aligned so that you can meet the requirements of what constitutes an NC State degree in engineering, all in the middle of a pandemic. Give yourself one more round of applause. I am beyond impressed. I am beyond impressed of not only you, but your village, your supporters who heard you call home, who got the SOS messages when you needed them late in the midnight hour. And here you are to mark this high occasion, not only calling yourselves graduates of NC State College of Engineering, but individuals who are now transitioning from your formal training to professional experience via the Order of the Engineer. This is an incredible opportunity that you have. This is one that I have shaped and followed through my time, even here at NC State, by developing a mindset that is focused and centered around a single word, and that word is purpose. Repeat after me. Purpose. Engineering purpose. Engineering purpose has become a personal mantra and a theme of my career and my life because I understand that purpose is something that has to guide everything we do. And though we can look at it as a spiritual or even esoteric divine calling on our lives, I want to speak with you just a few moments about a very practical approach to purpose. Purpose, a reason or intent for why we do what we do. Engineering purpose denotes not only a noun, but a verb. It is something that we can approach very practically, that we can ask, we can imagine, we can plan, we can create, and we can improve as we progress towards our brighter tomorrow. Engineering purpose is something we all must have and do as engineers. And as I think about this idea of engineering purpose, there are 3 questions that you cannot not afford to ask. And for those of you who were checking, yes, that was a double negative. They cancel out. 3 questions that I want to share with you before I take my seat that you cannot not afford to ask. If you're ready, let me hear you say ready. All right, number 1, the first question is, who am I? What did I say? Who am I? Again, not something all esoteric, but what is it that describes who you are? What are your talents? What are your gifts? What are the things that you remember uniquely from your childhood that make you you? Why did you decide to go down the path of engineering or computer science? Well, when I think about the question of myself, who am I think about this fond memory I had that some of you all can relate to of my beloved junk drawer. You know that drawer, some of us, is at the top of our dresser where we have all types of things in it, empty Pringle cans, broken hangers, right? Containers from Chinese food stores that we want to use again. I think I even had in my junk drawer the jawbone of like a dead deer. Yeah, it was some of everything in that drawer. But in my mind, that junk drawer would be my maker space, if you will, for the next big thing. I just knew I was going to create something from that junk drawer that was going to change the world. So even from my adolescent years, I tried to make my own video game, my own remote control car, maybe even a drone. And they didn't really work, but that's not the point. That junk drawer was a source of opportunity and imagination for me. And I remember like yesterday sitting as we do as kids, and even today where we're just deep in thought, pondering of all the great things we can do, and the idea would spark. I would get excited, I would get energized, and then I would rush out of the shower and run to my junk drawer only to create my newest contraption. With so much enthusiasm, I would rush to my parents and say, hey, look what I made. I put this together, and with my eyes wide, I see their eyes light up, and then they would say to me, is that the jawbone of a dead deer? Boy, if you don't get that out of my house right now. Needless to say that not every invention I came up with was world-changing or even life-changing or functional. But that is a defining moment, a memory unique to who I am that helps me to look back and confirm that I am engineering purpose. What are your defining moments here on the campus of NC State University? Perhaps it was when you felt like you couldn't get the concepts that were presented in class only to late night in Hunt Library when your entire study group has dispersed for the light bulb to go on. Perhaps when it was working on a group project and it felt like all of the work depended on your portion. And for some of us, maybe it did. Those are defining moments. Maybe it's when you got that score and you had to hold it up to the light to make sure you were really looking at the right number. You know the ones where you ask the professor, is that a 4 or is that a 9? I want to make sure I'm getting the right grade here. Those are defining moments that help you to understand and answer the question, who am I? What are the things you notice in the world that continually bother you? Perhaps those are things that are clues to what your purpose might be. And so the first question that you have to make sure you answer, and you cannot not afford to ask, is, who am I? Continually ask, continually examine, continually reflect as you move forward from the school. Question number 2 that you cannot not afford not to ask is not only who am I, but what do I want? What did I say? What do I want? Come on now, here is the thing that we oftentimes feel afraid and even shy to answer because we don't want to come across as arrogant or selfish. But the truth of the matter is that if you don't know what you want, you will probably be doing something that you think other people think you should do. And that isn't the recipe for engineering purpose. What is it that grinds your gears, perhaps, that you want to solve? What is it that brings you life whenever you think about it? You get energized whenever it crosses your mind. What is that thing that you want to say, hey, when it's all said and done, at least if I accomplish this, I'll be happy. When I think about my journey through academia and coming even here to NC State, I attended undergrad actually in Alabama. I had a NASA internship program where I got introduced to a field of study known as fiber-reinforced polymer composites. I enjoyed this. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I saw some smiles, all right. I did this work at NASA, and I did a lot of work in the structural health monitoring of their space vehicles. However, working in the aerospace industry, I was a civil engineering student. So upon getting a fellowship that guided me through my master's degree, NASA and my sponsor said you had 1 more year of funding if you want to get your PhD. But as a civil engineering student, instead of staying and adjusting my career for aerospace engineering, which wasn't necessarily what I wanted, I found a school in the middle of North Carolina that had a program that integrated this field of research with civil engineering. And so I took off my 11-year-old Honda Accord here with a maxed out credit card that I shouldn't have been using in the first place, with the promise of NASA funding on the way, only to find out that that funding didn't quite get here as soon as I needed it. Chasing the dream, chasing something that I knew I wanted, led me to sleeping in the car one night and even coming into the apartment buildings that I stayed with the promise of funding surely coming, but eventually seeing an eviction notice on the side of my door in pursuit of what I wanted. Scrambling that first summer here, trying to figure out how even that 1 year of funding that eventually caught up could extend to 4 years or more of my study towards a PhD. Odd jobs of research apprenticeships, teaching assistantships, volunteering at summer camps with middle schoolers. Yippee. All those things came together because I was clear on what I wanted. See, when things get hard, it's really hard to continue on when you're doing something that someone else has basically given you. But when you're clear on who you are and what you want, then your engineering purpose becomes that much more possible. So that's number 2. First question, who am I? Second question, what do I want? And the third question that you cannot not afford not to answer, I think I did too many negatives that time. Anybody checking me? We're engineers. In the English? Okay. The third question that you have to ask is this: why does it matter? Why does it matter? My favorite quote is attributed to a gentleman by the name of William James, which essentially says, the best investment in one's life is in something that will outlive it. Yes, it's not just our purpose to get all we can all we get, and just sit on that can to our heart's delight. We are to invest our energies and our efforts into something that extends beyond ourselves. I stand here before you today with my wife somewhere in the audience, 2 weeks after the birth of my 3rd baby girl. Thank you. That's right. I like to say I am a triple platinum girl dad. My ladies not only have control of the legislative branch, the judicial branch, the executive branch, the Supreme Court, the Electoral College, and the popular vote in my home. But when I think about my purpose and why what I do matters, I think about my family. I think about those little girls, the oldest of which is named Nia. Nia is a Swahili word which actually means purpose. So my purpose, the achieving of what has been placed in my heart to make a difference in, the accomplishing of things that will not only make my life better, but the lives of so many others better, is tied to the purpose of my children. For many of you who sit here today, whether or not you have children one day, whether or not you even know it, there are people, just like when I sat there, that I did not meet yet, that will be beneficiaries of us taking this call as an engineer seriously. But us making sure that we don't skimp on calculations when no one else is around and no one is looking, and simply crossing our fingers hoping that it doesn't lead to a catastrophe. By making sure that we are considerate of the users of the device and not simply clocking in for that paycheck. There has to be a purpose that drives us beyond ourselves. Because at the end of the day, our time is limited. And the way that we become immortal is by investing our lives, investing our purposes in things that will outlive us. And so as I prepare to take my seat, I want to share with you just an excerpt from a poem that I wrote entitled, "The World is Waiting." As you reflect on these questions that you must answer for yourselves. Who are you? Who am I? What do I want? And why does it matter? I want to tell you, or at least ask you the question, has anyone ever told you that you can do anything you put your mind to? Change your world and mine too. Right now, just take the time to know that you can and will do something great. You know, I just can't wait to see what you're going to make of your future, because you, my friends, are genius. And listen, I really mean this. There's never been someone quite like you to come up on the scene. It's amazing. And I hope you hear what I'm saying, because I can see it in your eyes. There lies what we have been waiting for. NC State graduates, engineering, computer science graduates of 2022, the world is indeed waiting on what you have to offer. Your unique combinations of gifts and skills, your noticed needs, your experiences from childhood, yes, even the desires of your heart that you want, they must matter, because there is someone that you have yet to meet whose life will be changed by the work you do, by the course that starts today. The world is indeed waiting on what you have to offer. So let's go out there and give them what they're waiting for. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Mabry, for those inspiring words and for all that you've done to promote positive values and opportunities in the workplace, and for students all around the world considering engineering and aspiring to be engineers and computer scientists. What do you want? Who am I? And why? Indeed, great questions. And I'd like to ask all of you to give him another round of applause. Thank you so much, Dr. Mabry. Okay, inductees, it's time. It's time now for you to hear a short history of the Order of the Engineer and the Pledge of the Computing Professional. You will then recite your respective obligation or oath, depending if you're an engineer or computer science. You will march across the stage and receive a congratulations from our dean and other folks here on the dais. And you will then march to the back, where you will sign your certificate and receive your pen or your ring. So assisting with this part of the induction is Dr. Sarah Heckman, the director of our undergraduate programs and teaching professor in computer science, and Dr. David Parrish, our assistant dean in academic affairs. Dr. Parrish will lead us through the order of the engineer, the obligation first, and then Dr. Heckman will follow with the pledge of the computing professional oath. So let's please welcome Dr. David Parrish. David?
Hello, inductees. Yeah, it's hard to follow Dr. Mabry, I'm telling you. Let me offer my sincere congratulations to all of you. This part of the ceremony relates to the inductees with degrees in engineering. What I'll do, I'll read a brief history of the order, and then I'll ask all the engineering students to stand, and together we'll recite the obligation. But first, let me read the history of the order. The Order of the Engineer was begun in 1926 when our engineering counterparts in Canada recognized the special obligation of engineers to one another, to the profession, and to the public they served. They decided to recognize those willing to subscribe to the Code of Ethics for engineers by inviting them to join what is called the Order of the Engineer. Based on the model of our Canadian counterparts, the Order of the Engineer was established in the United States in 1970. As you are accepted into the order, you'll receive a stainless steel ring to be worn on the little finger of your working hand. Now, the history of the ring ceremony relates to the construction of a bridge across the St. Lawrence River in Quebec in the early 1900s. This bridge required several years to complete the construction, and in 1907, it collapsed, becoming an ugly tangle of structural steel, tragically enclosing the bodies of 75 workers. After an investigation, construction was started again in September of 1916. And as the center span was being raised, it fell again, resulting in another 13 fatalities. The bridge was built a third time without incident, and in 1917, and it's still used today with much success. Needless to say, this was a traumatic project for the world. However, it spawned a movement, and legend has it that one of the twisted iron pipes from the first bridge failure was sliced into rings and worn by engineers on that project to remind them of their solemn responsibilities. After accepting the obligation, you will be presented with your stainless steel ring. You are to wear the engineer's ring on the small finger of your working hand so that it will remind you every time you set out to sign a set of plans, maybe work with engineering contract documents, or design specifications. You'll know your obligation as an engineer. The success of the projects that we as engineers work on and the lives of people involved in those projects may depend on your engineering work. The ring you receive is a symbol of the strength and continuity of your profession. The engineer's ring says to all who see it, here is an engineer, a person with special technical knowledge and publicly avowed dedication to their profession and the public it serves. I will follow my code of ethics. You must accept the obligation seriously and with pride in yourself and your profession. Please consider the words of the obligation carefully and remember always that our special knowledge carries with it the obligation to serve humanity and with complete sincerity, honesty, and integrity. We can never anticipate all the challenges we shall face as we work on our designs, but we are honor-bound to foresee all that we can and keep the public's welfare uppermost in our minds. So now, I invite all inductees for the Order of the Engineer, engineering students with engineering degrees, to stand and recite the obligation with me. The obligation can be found in your program. I am an engineer. In my profession, I take deep pride. To it, I owe solemn obligation. As an engineer, I pledge to practice integrity and fair dealing, tolerance and respect, and to uphold devotion to the standards and dignity of my profession. conscious always that my skill carries with it the obligation to serve humanity by making the best use of the earth's precious wealth. As an engineer, I shall participate in none but honest enterprises. When needed, my skill and knowledge shall be given without reservation for the public good. In the performance of duty and in fidelity to my profession, I shall give my utmost. Congratulations, inductees. Give yourself a hand. You may have a seat.
Hello, initiates. I would also like to offer my congratulations to each of you. My focus today is on the Pledge of the Computing Professional for initiates with a degree in computer science. The use of computers is pervasive throughout our society and has expanded into most areas of everyday life. Given the increasing reliance on computer and software technologies, computing graduates need to be aware of their responsibility towards ensuring public well-being and their responsibilities as computing professionals. I'll provide a brief history of the Pledge of the Computing Professional organization before asking computer science initiates to join me in reciting the oath. In many modern professions, the act of joining the profession is accompanied by a rite of passage, symbolizing the entry of the initiate into a position of responsibility. The initiate often takes an oath, pledging to act both ethically and morally as a member of the profession. The initiate is often presented with a visible symbol of the profession as a reminder of their responsibility. In 2007, inspired by the example of the Order of the Engineer, individuals at Ohio Northern University and the University of South Florida created similar organizations for computing graduates. After interest in such an organization grew at other institutions, the Pledge of the Computing Professional was developed by an international team of 17 computing professionals. The organization of the same name has been entrusted with the responsibility of administering and maintaining the oath and approving member nodes. The first induction ceremony was held in May of 2011. We are very proud in the College of Engineering to hold the designation of North Carolina Node number 1, and yes, it's for linked list. What this means is that our program was the first in the state of North Carolina to recognize and implement this important ceremony for our graduates. Through this public rite of passage ceremony, we foster professional pride, moral obligation, and ethical responsibility in all graduates of computing disciplines. The initiates who are present here today will soon stand to take this oath. After this ceremony, there'll be no organizational meetings to attend, nor will there be any dues to pay. However, members of this organization are expected to keep the oath to uphold and honor their chosen profession. The certificate and lapel pins that each of our initiates receive here today will serve as visible reminders of this oath through your professional careers. I invite all initiates for the Pledge of the Computing Professional to stand and to say the oath with me. I am a computing professional. My work as a computing professional affects people's lives, both now and into the future. As a result, I bear moral and ethical responsibilities to society. As a computing professional, I pledge to practice my profession with the highest level of integrity and competence. I shall always use my skills for the public good. I shall be honest about my limitations, continuously seeking to improve my skills through lifelong learning. I shall engage only in honorable and upstanding endeavors. By my actions, I pledge to honor my chosen profession. We now call upon our newest computing professionals to go forth in service to society. Congratulations, initiates. You may be seated.
Please join me in thanking Dr. Heckman and Dr. Parrish. Thank you very much. To proceed with the induction ceremony, we will now call the name of each initiate who will cross the stage, receive congratulations, and go to the back of the hall where you will sign your certificate, receive your pen, and then you will come back the center aisle and find a seat. I want to remind you all to take your packets with you as you're processing around, because that has your certificate within the packet. And if in general you're confused, we do have our marshals who can help you out and guide you around. So at this point, marshals, let's get in place. And I would like to invite the first row on both sides, if you will stand, turn to your right, and follow the marshals. Now, rows, this is the other way we're going to do this, row by row by row. So pay attention to the marshals, and they'll march you around each row in like fashion. We'll follow the marshals. You'll proceed, and then give your card to our announcers. So while this first group is walking around, you may have noticed that Dr. Mabry, our guest speaker, stood and also read the obligation of the engineer, and that is because he is being inducted today. Dr. Mabry. Civil engineering graduate here at NC State. So Dr. Mabry, I invite you. Here is your packet, my dear friend. Come up here, please. Take your packet, and we'll ask you to go down and stand at the front of the line. You'll be the first one across the stage. So go right on down there. So he didn't know what I was saying. I said, Nehemiah, stand with me and read this obligation. And being such a great guy to get along and get along, he stood and read the obligation. I don't think he knew what was going on. So marshals, in the spirit of let's keep things moving, why don't we get that second row up and get those guys walking around. So second row, why don't you guys stand, turn to your right, and march on around. So I'm going to turn it over at this point in time to our announcers who will announce the names. Feel free to congratulate and be vocal as your graduate comes across the stage. So let's get started.
All right. We're going to start with our esteemed guest, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry. Daniel Haller. Andrew Daly. Arushi Vash. Christopher Wagner. Noah Higgins. Kayla Schladenhoften. Roberto Fleming. Mel Alejandro Pegar. William Ketlet. Ariel Centeno. Christopher Ford. William Plone. Caitlin Nelson. Andrew Kotner. Charles Purcell. Carlton Emerson. Hayden Jones. Jessica Spears. Carson Howard. Nicholas Piscoli. Joshua Allman. Ahmed Bilal. Pryor Gibson. Luke Brown. Ember Strickland. Joshua Spencer. Daisy Sawyer. Abigail Cordiner. Catherine Schaefer. Tiernan Bockham. Jacob Warren. Samantha Bates. Okay, all right. Lauren Morello. Anthony Boltice. Flavio Leon. Adrian Archer. Patrick Ivy. Daniel Flint. Abigail Davis. Alec Brewer. Hannah Adcox. Sabrina Fleming. William Moore. Bryce Gunter. Charlie Weeder. Karina E. Bly. Justin Smith. Emily Barefoot.
Margaret Leck. Kyle Wiener. Emerald McGee. Kashmir Schultz. Sean Mina. Opeyemi Olaoluwa. Jordan Kaplanson Torrens. Ethan Cole. Nicholas Thompson. David Chilton. Nicholas LaPlante. Joshua Pecoraro. Joseph Pobrica. Daniel Corder. Jeremiah Sabru. Christopher Stewart. Keith Parker. Gerardo Murado. Bala Njul. Peter Nakala. Cameron Brown. Adam Schneider. Vaughn Del Villar. Michael Andre. Joseph Fisher. Eva Farrar. Andrew Grace. Yeku Yusuf. Olivia Osborne. Dima Hassan. Alina Tang. Layla Liggins. Nora Ahmed. Stephanie Constantelos. Ashley Hannon. Alyssa Hardy. Emma Torcell. Ryan Katelfu. Alex Wysocki. Sydney Jurek. Chandler James. Corbin Most. Kellen Hansen. William Owensby. Emma Kavanaugh. Brandon Thompson. Mark Roberts, Jr. Andrew Esterly.
Alexander Dietz. Jonathan Rhodes. William Smith. Jacob John. Benita Thapa. Yosef Yan. Eugen Kim. Katrina Davis. Good. Elizabeth Belcher. Bhairavi Puvendran. Caroline Dow. Claudia Sorto. Andrew Chu. April Gonzalez. Aitana Blevins. Jessica Farrell. Shivani Patel. Monali Shinsekar. Rohak Rastogi. Katarina McGarry. Alex Alvarez. Hayden Bland. Caleb Nitka. Catherine Hill. Samantha Knapp. Amber Detweiler. Christopher Martin. Jacob Miles. Michaela Poindexter. Christina Diaz. Claire Samama. Alexander Constantine. Timothy Gillikin. Matt Peterson. Daniel Hill. Catherine Chirichillo. Tanvi Thumar. Shannon Pinnell. Mackenzie Hevlin. Anastasia McDearman. Julie Talbot. Lily Sullivan. Kyle McClintock. Kat Cobb. Shayna Johnson. Heaven Davis. Sissy Clay. Kinley Rosman. Lauren Warner. Carter Herman. Sean Sullivan. Julianne Maley. Mason Stevens. Evan LaFontaine. Alex Chrysler. Tariq Qureshi. Hassan Tariq Qureshi. Dalton Hossinger. Thomas Sykes. Ryan Rumpel. Laura Merkel. Dalton Fight. Dominic Ropes. Jarush Christopher. Nicholas Mickey. Jay Kotari. Kanishk Nima. Mackenzie Blank. Alexis Shepard. Kayla Cooper. Allison Avila. Natalie Bress. Natalie Kraft. Jack Sherman. Drew Hewlett. Skylar Robbins. McCain Bound. Luke Mayer. Morgan Gwynn. Luis Caicedo. Ashley Gonya. Rana Al-Qasim. Helen Yee. Rachel Klinke. Lydia Underwood. Matthew Nordberg. April Brown. Natalie Fragnito. Joseph Turner. Jefferson Burkhaw. Bevan Neal. Jennifer Potts. Samed Idol. Colin Nelson. Austin Wells. Tanner Orr. Caleb Renderer. Matthew Glenn. Daniel Luque.
Matthew Slaughter. Bailey Hankel. Hunter Rhino. Jared Pierce. Carrie Sanji. Caleb Elrod. Grayson Browder. Maya Stoley. Alex Ford. Jordan Spicola. Ty Moore. Tyler Chase. Robert Williamson. Maria Kosak. Riley O'Shea. Julia Kraus. Asim Hussein. Benjamin Nichols. Catherine Scranton. Sarah Hall. Noor Hakam. Maniknath Wache. Michael Mead. Yazid Torchi. Marcelo Mateus. Jordan Brown. Sophia Holmes. Jason Arias. Chenlu Ho. Gada Arashid. Elizabeth Byer. Cameron Dara. Callie Stanek. Tyree Houghton. Elio Domingos. Kenny Edwards. Justin Oringer. Craig Denny. Isaac Arouse. Ethan Smith. Kyle Murley. Udayan Sinapati. Rima Tremish. Ibrahim Ahmed. No, okay. Mohammed Ahmed. Justin Lay. Rachel Caroline Harris. Claire Henson. Maddie McKee. Sean Ayton. Lindsay Jacobson. Sailor Coplinger. Francisco Ortiz. Hunter Hovanek. Connor Bryant. Alexander Spellmeyer. Tahia Monjuli. Mohammed Riyahi. Davul Bhatt. Mikhail Patel. Anjay Drobny. Sam Honeycutt. William Stremecki. Ryan Rice. Eli Newman. Brennan Powell. Sanjana Chirla. Brunel? Jackson Ashen Brunel. Brunner. Hayden Spurrell. Grant Sowards. Emily Summers. Jackson Kruger. Caleb Watson. Kieran Jacob. Patrick O'Connor. Eli Squire. Sahaj Zalavadia. Axel Flores Roman. Giselle Polanco.
Benjamin Gutnecht. Jason Sheh. Ananya Tandri. Jackson Taylor. Anish Birud. Aaron Penny. Sydney Stein. Kelly Millette Turner. Wilson Teachy. Jamel Issa. Austin Oakley. Justin Hodakowski. Alan Zing. Kunal Canaria. Hannah Helms. Gretchen Mackey. Sophia Navar. Nicolette Cusimano. Avani Saraswatula. Madison Smith. Grayson Hinnett. Alexandra Catherine Elizabeth Neto. Pooja Sharma. Alexandra Catherine Kanziman. Gemma Gemma Frost. Derek Summers. Caitlin Bell. Alexis Vogaropoulos. Jessica Lee. Andy O'Connell. Kurash Karimi. Melody Chang. Cameron Palagruto. Joshua Zhang. Grace Rudiak. Paige Sikora. Sriraj Kundala. Sai Pranav. Sean Fayen. Maritza Aguirre Diaz. Trenton Wallace. Spencer Wallace. Tun Tran. Luke Westervelt. Zach Edgington. Seth Hammock. Matthew Kennedy. Michaela Hill. Charlie Sherrill. Arjun Pucha. Chris Gorayeb.
Ramya Balasubramanian. Emily Spiro. Justin Newman. Jared Loyne. Rachel Lloyd. Zihao Shan. Bing Quan Zheng. Ron Sun. Lucian Gauthier. Justin Wald. Julia Germano. Alexandra Pavo. Tiffany Fan. Emery New. Trent Hooley. Roye Ma. Julian Jeffrey Walensky. Christian Ofodile. Kaylee Jagels. Rachel Argbright. Laura Potok. Abiha Khanam. Melody Greason. Lauren Mady. Rebecca Turan. Sabrina Pietro hold on. She lived. Salazar. She lived. Sabrina Pietro Malie Salazar. I think I got that right. Sakshi Jongre. Madeline Roney. Krishna Patel. Jesse Enning Yoshihara. Alfredo Hernandez Garcia. Vignesh Vijaya Kumar.
Okay, wow, wasn't that something? So while those last initiates are signing their certificates and getting their rings and lapel pins, this is the part, audience, where we might have a little bit of audience participation. You've been sitting there so well and supportive. Are you ready for a little something there, audience? All right, let's hear it if we have any folks from the Northeast of the U.S. Anyone up there in Massachusetts? Anyone from the Northeast? Where are our Northeastern folks? How about Pennsylvania, New York? Any Pennsylvania, New York families? How about the Eastern Seaboard? Any Eastern Seaboard? Maryland, Virginia? Any of those folks? Anyone around? A little bit there. How about from Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina? Any folks from those areas? Florida? Any Floridians? How about the Midwest? Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan? Any breadbasket folks? Any Kansans, Oklahomans, any other? There we go. How about Californians? Anyone from the West Coast? Do we have any international visitors? Hey, well, I'd say that just to welcome all of you and thank you so much. It is so wonderful to have all of you here supporting. I am also a parent, and one of my daughters is graduating from med school down at ECU, and another graduating from here at NC State. So let's also hear from any North Carolina families here. Thank you for supporting us here. So I know that these are wonderful times for you as you're traveling around and supporting these wonderful young people. You know, recommendation is to stay hydrated, right? Stay hydrated during these hot days. But we're so delighted to have all of you joining us. And let me just close things out. So we talk a lot about engineering family here at NC State. We have over 10,000 current students and over 75,000 living engineering and computer science alumni. So family is very important to us. And students will tell you that when they're in the throes of trying to pass their engineering and computer science classes, they sometimes become closer than family. Well, in the audience today, we have some engineering family members who have had a little different and difficult experience as their college experience came to an end. And what I'm talking about are our graduates from the classes of 2020 and 2021, who because of COVID had their ceremonies canceled. So we're absolutely delighted that some of these great folks were able to join us today, and I want to ask all of them to please stand so we can recognize you and give you some Wolfpack love. So some of our graduates from 2020 and 21, I know we have a few of you. Could you stand? We want to give you some Wolfpack love. Congratulations for coming in. So ladies and gentlemen, parents and supporters, gathered guests, faculty and staff, support team members extraordinaire, I present to you the May 2022 induction class of the Order of the Engineer and the Pledge of the Computing Professional in the College of Engineering at NC State University. Hey, give him a standing ovation. All right. I should have invited you to stand because I'm sure the knees are getting creaky by now, but that's fantastic. Thank you all. Yes, congratulations to all of our initiatives. This is indeed a special day. On behalf of all of our family, I send to you, our inductees today, our sincere and warm wishes to you and your families. You inspire us by your commitment to all that is promoted and upheld by this ceremony. I also want to again thank Dean Louis Martin Vega, Dr. Mabry, Dr. Heckman, and Parrish, our faculty reps, and all those who helped make this a very special day, including all of you in the audience. Sincere thanks to all of you. In closing, a reminder and invitation to all of you gathered here, all of our supporters, to join us at the reception next door outside of the Talley Student Center. Families and guests, in terms of logistics, if you would, just go out the front doors that you came in behind me, and you can go to your left to get to the reception. Initiates, it's almost time to go. One last little form of instructions for you in terms of logistics. We're going to exit from the back forward. So in the back, you guys are going to go out first. You're going to go out the door on the right, follow the marshals. You go out, hang a right and hang a left. So we're going to shoot you right outside and then go up to the lawn and you can meet your family outside. So it is now time to go. And so I ask all initiatives, please stand. And get ready to cue the exit music. Again, congratulations and best wishes to all of you. Enjoy your departmental ceremonies. As you go forth from this great university, go Wolfpack! Marshals, out we go.